Welcome to Titan Upload Live. So glad you could be here today, July 5th. Hope you had a great 4th of July. Hope you had fun. Hope you were safe. You didn't get any firework mishap. We had a ton of them that ended up in our pool. That was a lot of fun today to clean that up. So shout out to the neighborhood. And yeah, we're ready to get into this. Tennessee Titans, undrafted free agents, 2020 class. There are 14 of them. We're going to go over 7 today. So I brought along a good friend, Mr. Titan, and we're going to just tell you all that we know about these guys. And I think the main interest in this is, are these guys going to make the roster? Like, which ones have a better chance? And I'll tell you what, we have a couple today I think you're going to be super excited about. And it's very intriguing. These guys have some very interesting backgrounds. And the more and more you dive into some of these guys, I'll be honest, some of these guys you can't find much information on. Some of these schools, it's like I've never heard of. But when you kind of try to find as much as you can, some of these stories are definitely unique with this roster. I think they all share common traits. There is one in the bunch we're going to go over today that maybe is more of a character issue, but the rest of them seem to fall in line with fast, and they're you can count on them, and they're just they can play the versatility. I think that's kind of the key thing. So before we get into this, thanks again for joining us and being here. Really appreciate it. 18 likes. We always try for 50 likes. But yeah, so we're going to go over 7. I feel really bad because Mrs. Kinsey's in the house, and we're not actually covering Mason's the second part of it. He's kind of like the main event for us because we were so lucky to interview him. But he'll be the last part. So unfortunately, he'll be next Sunday. So I do apologize for that, Mrs. Kinsey. So we're going to bring on Mr. Titan. And Mr. Titan's got a lot of good information to share with you. And then we'll kind of kick this thing off. So, Mr. Titan, what's going on, man?
What's happening? What's happening, Titan Nation? How are you doing, Upload?
I'm hanging in there. We had a good 4th of July. We social distanced 6 feet away. But I don't know. How about you? How was your 4th of July, man?
It was good. My son had fun. We did a couple fireworks here and there, and nothing too crazy. Nothing went bad, so I was in bed early because I had to work early. But everything was good, man.
Yeah.
Everything was good.
Well, that's good. And, I'm going to put you on the spot, man, because I think you've been taken off before our very eyes. I feel like I tell you that all the time you're on here. But this past week, you had some very interesting things happen on your channel. So before we dive into some of the free agents that signed with the Titans, do you want to give us a quick rundown of what's going on over there in Texas?
Definitely. Okay, so as you guys know, I've been doing a lot of interviews. I have 2 this week that I'm going to be doing. My video will drop tomorrow with UFC Hall of Famer Frank Trigg. I had a really good interview with that. And again, I'm trying to kind of branch out, trying new things out. So I'm starting to interview with other athletes, other people, for just a change up for the channel as well. But still, obviously, talk about the Tennessee Titans and still have Titan players, Titan media, anyone I could get that's Titan related onto my show. Now, the cool thing is that I actually had someone reach out to me and contact me wanting to come on my show, which is really weird because I wouldn't think anyone would watch my show, but apparently some people do. And his name's Grant Matos, played in the NFL for 4 years, played with the Chargers, Broncos, and actually played for the Titans, surprisingly. I don't know too much about him, but he was also in the Survivor Season 22 Redemption Island, so that was pretty cool looking up and getting information about him. And I will be interviewing him this Thursday. And, guys, listen to this one. I do have Titans-related personnel, okay, that I am interviewing this week. I mean, this person's very, very involved with the team. I can't tell you who it is, but you guys, again, it's gonna be awesome. I mean, I think you guys are gonna really, really like it. I mean, I've been working, cooking things up in the lab, here and there, just trying to, you know, do my thing, man. Trying to give as much information and much as myself and my time to the Titan fans, because I love you guys a lot.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome. I love the fact that we talked to Tennessee Titans Weekly. A shout out to them on the awesome logo, by the way, man. That's phenomenal.
It is nice.
But we were just talking with them when they had Vince Young on, and like this is so interesting. Like Vince Young actually watched them before they even reached out to Vince Young. Like how cool is that? That we know that some of these guys are watching. Obviously, Mrs. Kinsey's watching. Mason. That's one of my highlights. Just with this channel is to have him on here. But to show his character, I think a lot of us are super excited about him and his opportunity with the Titans. But before we kind of dive into some of this is just like we are in unknown waters right now with the 2020 season. You've come out with something very special. Titans Nation is reaching out to you left and right. Do you want to share with that really quick? If these people have no idea.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
And Dose of Dion, what's up, man? Sorry.
If anyone doesn't know, doesn't have me on Twitter or anything like that. I mean, some people do, some people don't. I don't like Twitter, but apparently everyone does, so I get on it. Okay, so we know that face masks are mandatory. In Texas, they're mandatory. Sooner or later, all around the United States, it's going to be mandatory. That's where it's going, But why not wear a face mask with some style, okay? We got some Mr. Titan face mask right here.
Woo, okay? Looking nice. We got the
look. Hold on. Let me take off my headphones real quick.
Yeah, you should be wearing the mask, man. Come on.
I won't be able to breathe there. All right. So here it is. Boom.
Nice. And you got people like that don't even follow you, subscribe you on your Twitter, social media platforms, YouTube channel, and they still are reaching out to you, correct? They want the Mr. Titan.
Yes, sir. There's been a lot of people that I only made 10 of these because I didn't think people were gonna be interested. Apparently there's a lot of people that are interested. I had to order 50 more just because of that. So if you guys want it, it's $10. Just message me, just leave something maybe in the chat or hit me up on Twitter. If you don't have Twitter, we'll figure something out, and I'll definitely get back to you guys. But definitely check it out. It's super nice. Hopefully you guys like it. Hopefully you guys can rep Mr. Titan.
Nice. Hey, tell you what. I'll tell you what. This is spontaneous. We will, over here at Titan Upload, we will purchase one, and we will take that, and we will give one to a winner. And all you have to do to win one of these masks is to leave a comment on my YouTube channel, this one right here, this episode, right? And then just subscribe to Mr. Titan, and you have a chance to win the mask. It'll be free shipping. All you'll have to do is DM either me or I'll probably reach out to you and then just DM you on Twitter, Instagram. I'll find you where you're at, or we'll figure it out, the details later. But yeah, if you're interested in a mask, yeah, we'll buy one. We'll put you on the spot, Mr. Titan, and we'll just give back to the guest here. So thanks a lot, man.
I appreciate it. Again, you'll be there was a lot of people. It was a lot of feedback. It was a lot of positive feedback. So I do appreciate everyone who's supporting the channel, supporting your channel, supporting my channel. I mean, we love the Titans, and that's what we're just trying to do. We're just trying to give the most to our fans.
Al, out of anybody, Al deserves one, man. Al,
I think so.
You know what I mean? Al is he never misses any live show from the Titans. So shout out to Al for sure. Thank you for all of you in the house, by the way. 501, I see you in here. Randall's in here. Titans Torch. Who else is in here? Drumster, Dose of Dion, Fan to Fan Network. Lions might be on here Tuesday. Hopefully it will work out. But yeah, we're still talking about it. Beal in the house. Big O Titan. Like we mentioned, Al, Scooter, probably some people. Chris Frazier, Jeffrey Freeman in the house. QWERTY is in the house. let's get into this. So this is interesting. It's unknown. Like this is just crazy. But I'm very, how do I want to put this, you guys? I'm worried because we've had situations in the past where the tennis, I mean, just in general, 2 preseason games, right? So we get rid of 2 there. There's been rumblings about a roster cut before the season even starts, before training camp, where that 90-man roster is going to be basically shrunken down. So there's been that. And then now there's been talks about the Players Association that said, you know what, we don't want to play any preseason games. So you take that into account, where there was no OTAs, there's no mini camps, there's no rookie camps, there's none of that. It's virtual playbooks. That's all we're doing nowadays. I'm very worried, Mr. Titan, about not only the undrafted free agents, but the rookies and any free agent coming into this Titan system. Should we be worried, man?
Absolutely. It affects the rookies tremendously, but it also affects anyone who's trying to make it on the team. It almost gives them not a chance to get on. And especially the way things are looking and how every day there's always something new. It feels like they're always putting something out. It just, again, it's a bad feeling. You know, it's now there was 2 games preseason. Now it's no games, and who knows when the season's gonna start.
Yeah, and it's going to be an uphill battle for any undrafted free agent. It's going to be an uphill battle probably for a 7th round pick in general. I mean, I still think 7th round picks are okay to be safe, but you never know. I mean, remember a couple years ago we drafted Folk in the 6th round and we ended up trading him to Miami. But I think the issue is Herm Edwards said it best, and because we covered a lot of Arizona State free agents on this Titans team, I think they picked up 3 of the 14 from Arizona State. Herm used to coach in the league. Herm's been an NFL guy his whole life, went to college, tried to take on that challenge a couple years ago. But Herm plays in the most updated pro style that you can think of in NCAA football. And he said one of the most important elements for any rookie is to know the playbook and to be up to date with the playbook. He says you never know, or you just, out of all the people that are, you know, make the team or don't make the team, a lot of it comes down to knowing every detail in that playbook. But man, virtually, I know you can do a lot of things, but just like me being a teacher, man, virtual learning isn't as easy as instruction in person. It's just not. You got to learn it. It's a process, and I feel really bad for a lot of these rookies because they were basically just thrown into the fire.
Yep, I agree. At my job, same thing. They're doing all like the new hires and stuff. They're all virtual learning, and they can't retain as much information as if they were hands-on. It's a problem. So you kind of think about it like that for the rookies, again, with the playbooks and just getting used to the team and getting comfortable with the team. So
there were 14 undrafted free agents that the Titans went out and picked up, and we're going to go over all 14. Unfortunately, looking into the 14, it's hard to put them in an hour show unless you're just going to briefly talk about them for like 2 minutes, and we're going to try to do a little bit more than that here. And we want your feedback, your comments. I'm giving scores out of 10 for these free agents, okay? Give us a score. 10 doesn't mean they're going to make the team, but guys, like 10 is a very solid score. If anybody's going to make it, a 10 certainly would make it over a 3. So we want to really dive into some of these guys. And a lot of these guys, let's just be honest, I think a lot of us in the room, including myself and Mr. Titan, we don't know a whole lot about these guys. We don't watch these guys in college. They don't get a lot of exposure on the media. I mean, it's a challenge to try to find out more and more information. But we know these guys are going to be Titans, and hopefully we wish them nothing but the best. So we're going to get into these. So like Oscar's in the house, Red's in the house, Daniel's in the house, Dustin's in the house. Just want to give you guys shout outs as well. Thanks for joining us. Again, we're at 29 likes. We're trying for 50. If you haven't followed, like Mr. Titan, he's got Instagram, he's got Twitter, we're working on the Facebook, and then me, you guys know me, same old. So here we go. Let's dive into this. First guy, Aaron Brewer. So he's going to come in as an offensive lineman. Now, Aaron Brewer, let's just be honest, this guy is the J-Rob, Mike Vrabel, undrafted free agent of the year based on what they want, correct? I mean, this guy does everything and he can play any position. He's played center, he's played right tackle, he's played right guard, he's played left tackle. This guy can play anywhere on the offensive line. Just by looking at him, versatility. Okay, I'm going to ask you this, Mr. Titan, before we kind of dive into some of his stats and stuff. What is your feeling on positions? Do you feel like if he would have played just right tackle or right guard or left tackle his entire time playing at Texas State? Okay, I know he started off at Sam Houston State. That didn't work out, so he ended up recommitting then or decommitting and then going to Texas State. But when you look at him in that regard, Mr. Titan, do you think he would have been better off? You think he might have been possibly drafted or his stock would have went up higher if he would have focused on one position rather than many? I mean, that's a very debatable question, I think, because a lot of us love the versatility. But in this case, I mean, how do you feel about it, and how do you, like, just in the past in general?
That's a good question. For the most part, we know that obviously J-Rob likes a player that has versatility, that can do multiple positions, can do, more than one. And I think his stock is higher if he has that, just because he could be a solid backup, or even if he had to start, I think it would be really, really good for them. And the thing is with that, just having one solid position, I mean, especially in the NFL, most teams, it just doesn't cut it. I mean, unless the person is very highly, very good at that position. But for my case, I feel like versatility goes more than just one solid position. Again, people might, disagree.
And by looking at him, he checks all the boxes. You know what I mean? He's 6'3", 270, 3 years experience at Texas State. Like I said, he's started at center, he started at left tackle, he started at right guard, 2-star recruit coming out of high school, played guard in high school. He only gave up 3 sacks in 2019 /hits. So I don't know if that's like one and a half each, and almost 500 different snaps and pass protection. And then obviously one's the highest rated lineman in the Sun Belt, according to Pro Football Focus. So when we look at him specifically, Mr. Titan, I think he's going to have a shot. Now, I'm going to put a score on this one in a minute, but what's really intriguing to me is, like I said, he can play any position. And with the Titans' offensive line, we know they drafted Isaiah Wilson in the first round. We know that we're not really sure if Kelly can hold up for the whole year. And then, Nate Davis showed signs, but I think we signed some guys. We lost Conklin, but we definitely need a little bit of depth. So when you think of center position, Ben Jones, who else can fill that role? At least Aaron Brewer can check many different boxes. So if you're looking at it from the Titans' point of view, do you keep a guy who's a solid guard for depth pieces, or do you take a guy that maybe has less experience and maybe he's not as good of a guard, but because he can play many different roles, maybe he gets the edge? What do you think about that one?
I agree. I mean, it's a debatable, because it could go either way. You could get a solid, guard, or you can have someone who has, again, like you said, multiple, areas that it's not the strong point, but if you need to plug them in, like say what happened with Dennis Kelly when he had to get plugged in and stuff, he did great, so.
Yeah, and
I would go with the versatility, man.
And I definitely think the versatility is a big plus, but if you don't get to practice and you don't get to be around the guys and learn, anybody can look at the playbook and be like, okay, you got to get to the second level, or you got to pull, or whatever you got to do. But it's this attention to detail, and I think that's the big issue. We do have a super chat from the Coach Plays. We'll definitely get to that here in a minute. But I did want to put this one up there, Tackling Life Daily. She says, knowing the playbook has been stressed throughout the virtual classroom, if a player is expected to play multiple positions, it's going to be an absolute essential key. And here's the other thing I think too. When we're talking less playbook and all that, I think that's a very vital point. And obviously Herm Edwards, former coach, would agree with that. But when you look at it, yes, special teams and all that's going to make a big play on whether you make the roster or not. and just, can you play? I mean, that's going to be a question too at camp. But here's the problem, and here's why I feel sorry for some of these guys. Where did they get a lot of their mojo? Where did they get a lot of their, where teams could actually bring them in? They're shown on tape, right? But if there's no preseason games, Mr. Titan, they don't get that opportunity to show on tape. And that's going to be a big concern, I think. So if you make the Titans, great. If you don't make it, maybe the Chicago Bears were watching week 4, right? Maybe you showed up, you had 6 catches for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns or whatever. You made a key block, big sack, whatever. But, man, you miss out on those opportunities as well. And I don't think people really realize that with no preseason games, if that's where we're going. All right, so Super Chat, special teams versatility is how they make it. Yeah, I think that's a great point, and the coach plays would know he's a coach himself. So when we have this, we're going to take a 2-second timeout, and we didn't get everything updated that we wanted, but at least we have this. But like I said, speaking of shout-outs, by the way, almost forgot about a shout-out, the Tate twins. The Tate twins retweeted this episode. They liked the a previous episode. So they're in the wrestling world, and shout out to them for watching. And they're big Titan fans, so tighten up to you guys. Yeah, all right. Definitely. So if you had to give a score, I'll start with you out of 10. What would you give the score for our first undrafted Brewer?
I give him a solid, let me see. I'd say a 6. No, 7. I will go 7.
Yeah, I think 7's good. I think it's a rookie score. I think it's a rookie score because, you do the points, right? Everybody knows that. But we'll go, that's a good one, Mr. Titan. And you guys in the house can give your feedback too. Again, the 10 doesn't mean you make the team. It's just what going into the training camp, how strong are you to make this team? A 10 is a very solid, going into this. I'm going to say because of the versatility, it's a huge plus. And I feel like Texas State, I think, is D1. Is it not? I think they're D1. I think they, they're in the Sun Belt, so they got to be D1. So he's faced a little bit more tougher challenges sometimes, I think, with his schedule. But, he doesn't give up a lot of sacks. There's one issue that I think we didn't really express a lot on is the pass protection. That's one of the areas that Conklin wasn't great at. And some of these guys on our offensive line because of Henry. So maybe he brings a little bit more versatility where he can actually be a pass protector. And maybe you can bring him in those key situations. I'm going to give him a Conklin, a 7.8. So 7.8. What do you guys think in the house? We'll go back here. We've got another super chat from Al, by the way. So we'll get to that here in a minute. But we're looking for a couple scores. Enter Zone has entered the house. What are we thinking? Sin City Titans in the house. What are we thinking? Aaron Brewer. I'll put up his stats but I'll put up his sheet one more time. Again, his big thing is versatility on the offensive line. He started games at center, left tackle, right guard. He's played all over the place. He's played the Sun Belt, highest rated lineman last year by Pro Football Focus. 2-star recruit coming out. He could have went to Sam Houston State. I don't know why that did not work out for him. Traditionally a guard. He's 6'3", 270, 3 years experience. Started all 12 games last year at right tackle and 47 straight starts. That sounds like a Bruce Matthews, Mike Munchak kind of guy. Jared Wood says 8.3.
Okay.
The GOAT, CJ2K, says 8.4. So they're a little bit higher than we are, but we'll take it. We're in the ballpark. Lil Wooddale's in the house too. Dustin says 7, so he actually agrees with Mr. Titan. I think Dustin's trying to get a mask. I think he's really trying to get a mask here.
Hey, if anybody wants a mask, try to count how many times I sip on this cup. I saw someone wrote down in the comments. I do sip a lot. I'm in my garage. It's hot. It's in Texas, and I don't have ventilation, so it's hot here. So yeah, let me know at the last, at the end of the show, how many times I actually sip if you guys start counting.
All right. Got a challenge. So we got to get to the super chat from Al. Mask fee, go Titans, kick massive tail. That's his quote.
I think I'm gonna make a shirt.
You're gonna have to fight me for it, man, because I mean, Al, he's been here from day one, and that's been his saying. And I think we're gonna have to submit Al an offer to get that trademarked, because yeah, that would be awesome. He's always got I mean, he dives in deeper than most of us, and he knows his stuff too. Al, definitely the Oilers, the Titans. So shout out to Al, and we got to do this, man. I wish I had the other one uploaded. I don't right now, but we will next time. I promise you that. So here we go. Transition LGRW in the house. Only 270 linebackers, 5 at best. Mr. Titan, you said you would save me one for Tuesday. That's what Romeo said.
Romeo, I got you. Don't worry. I'm trying to make a bunch so I can send them all out at the same time.
Al says he's been doing this since the 70s with the Oilers. So, woo. Earl Campbell days. I guess that's the late 70s, but all right. So we're moving on. We're going to transition. So that's Brewer. I went 7.8. You went 7. We had some people in the house, 8.3, 8.4, 7. But we're both in agreement. I mean, because of his versatility, he has a decent chance to make this team. This guy. I wanted to save him for last tonight, but we're going to be on him for a while because this is the prize of the undrafted free agents. This is one that a lot of the other boards, Kansas City, Chiefs, for example, a lot of these other teams in the league were interested in this guy. Now, honestly, I am just shocked he never got drafted. I really thought he's definitely worth a 7th round pick for sure. This guy, CALE GARRETT, linebacker, middle linebacker from Missouri, is he's legit. Okay, so I'm just going to take this off right now. We'll put it back on. But from researching this guy, I mean, this guy was having a unbelievable monster. I like that word, Mr. Titan season. And he was just going to put up stats galore. But then October came, and he was playing in a game, and he ended up tearing his pectoral muscle. He still finished the game, I think, or got pretty far into it. But this guy had 16 tackles in one game versus Wyoming. Just to put this in perspective, you guys follow along. He missed, I think, the last 5 games of the year or whatever. He still was Missouri's leading tackler at the end of the year. So he went out in October, never played again, still the leading tackler for Missouri. I mean, that's phenomenal. This guy was everywhere. And honestly, if you just go by his stats and his play, there's really no reason why this guy shouldn't get drafted. Mr. Titan, what's the caution with our linebacker from Missouri?
He's hurt. He was hurt.
Yep. He was hurt, and he had
I mean, that's basically it. I mean, if you think about it, it's almost like a Jeffrey Simmons. I mean, a lot of people passed up on him because of the knee.
Yep.
And look how it turned out. It turned out perfect in our favor. I mean, a lot of people passed him down. And same thing with this gentleman. I mean, again, like you said, he stopped playing in October, and he still had the most tackles. That's crazy right there. That jumps off the board already, especially as a defensive coordinator and stuff. That should jump off man. And I mean, he's a beast. He's a beast. You said, he's a beast.
So, I mean, he had 3 touchdowns. He had 3 interceptions. It was Troy, the game I think he got hurt in. I mean, and he was doing this since he's been a freshman. His first game, he gets thrown into the fire to start against Florida, and he doesn't disappoint. He has 8 tackles, and that's Florida, by the way. So played at Missouri, Mizzou. I mean, this guy on the surface seems like a no-brainer, right? Then he has his combine experience, and I felt bad for him because he could not show his strength. Nope, and he didn't do bad. He did pretty awful. So if you were looking at any scout or whatever, I mean, they're trying to be nice. There's one site I saw, they gave him a 32 out of 100 for his combine score. Okay. He almost ran a 5 flat in the 40
That's what
time.
it was. Yeah.
5 flat,
Oof.
right? He was like a 4.92. That's a middle linebacker. And you know, in the Titan system, Mr. Titan, speed is our ally when it comes to our defense, right? Our defensive linebackers are quick. And just look at Jayon Brown, even Long, the guy we got from West Virginia last year. These guys bring that whole element, okay? But this is an ultimate run stopper, okay? Tough guy. I mean, come on. You play with a torn pectoral muscle, and you don't just come out in the first quarter when it happens. You're like, nah, I'm going to play the whole game with it, right?
The whole game you played.
That's insane. That's Iron Man material. So this guy on the surface, I'm telling you, first team all SEC as a junior, according to Pro Football Focus. 4 straight games at one point in his career where he had 10 plus tackles and in 4 straight games. That's unheard of. This guy knows the game. He puts himself in spots. And I'm gonna put this one to you. When you're slow, if this guy is as slow as what it's saying right here on the stat sheet, if you're slow, man, and you're still putting up 16 tackles versus Wyoming, that means you're smart. That means you know where the play's going.
You know where the ball is.
Exactly. And you can see where it's going before it gets there. This guy, I'm telling you, he's very intriguing. He is very, 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 very intriguing. And shout out to J-Rob, because a lot of people wanted this guy as an undrafted free agent. J-Rob found a way to get him. So, man, I'm super pumped about it. I'll put him up one more time on the CALE GARRETT.
You got me all pumped up, man. You got me all pumped up.
Man, when I was going over him, keep in mind, he wanted to go to Navy. I think he signed there, and then something happened, and he ended up going to Missouri. You think about Navy, for example, they don't have the top guys that go to Navy, but they play sound team football. So if they wanted this guy, now I see why John Robinson wants him.
Definitely.
So
it's like Gerald McGrath said the Titans play almost like Navy or Army, where you don't want to play them because they play so tough and stuff. So shout out to Gerald McGrath for that. Yeah,
that would be interesting to get him on, or if he comes on your show next time, man, to ask him about this guy. Tony Joe says he's sold on him. Tackling Life Daily says he's a monster mentality and superpowers, and says he really has a shot. That yikes 4.92 says LGRW. But I mean, yeah. But I know that's an impact, but we kind of went over why it makes sense that J-Rob would take a chance. Now here's the question, man. If he skips the combine, does he get drafted?
I think so. I think he will.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I think he would too, because on paper it
looks good regardless.
Look at Corey Davis, right? Corey Davis got hurt. He didn't didn't run his 40 time, and J-Rob Till, a lot of teams were going to take a chance on him because he just looked fast. Well, when you're tackling guys and you have 16 in one game versus Wyoming, and you're playing, in the SEC, and you're getting all first team or whatever, you're going to look a lot faster on tape. So it says Sin City Titan says, where would he fit in? Where do you think with the linebackers?
Just rotation. I think could be the third one. I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I think he'll fit perfect regardless. I think they'll find a way.
And if you're not going to improve my defensive line, Titans, and get some guy that can come in here and help our defensive line and not just put everything on Simmons or Daquan Jones or even Isaiah Mack, then you're going to need somebody who can plug the hole. And this guy seems like he can do it. Yeah. So perfect. I think he'll be healthy. It happened in October. So by the time this thing gets started in training camp, I think he'll be ready to go. So I'm very excited. Score on him. What do you think?
I give him an 8.
An 8? I thought I would have had his soul on a 10.
No. I got an 8. I think he's very highly up there, but an 8 is good. 8.5. How's that?
Okay.
We'll do an 8.5.
So what do you guys think in the house? We got 2 thumbs down. That's not good, but whatever. We'll get past it. What do you think?
That was mine. They didn't like my answer.
Yeah, no. We got Dustin says easily a 9. I think we had another super chat too, by the way, we got to get to. So let's just put that one on there. So Mike Corbo says, great scouting by our team, Mr. Titan. You need to follow the Tennessee Titan fans in Houston. if you haven't yet. So they're giving you a shout out, man. Awesome.
All right.
We got to give them the touchdown salute. Here we go.
Let me know. Hit me up on Twitter or wherever you guys need to be following. I'll follow you guys.
Yeah. So Mike Corbo, thank you, man, for the donation and the shout out to you. And let's see who else we got. Okay. So Mrs. Kinsey says a 9. The GOAT says 8.6. Al says an 8. LGRW says 7. Jared Wood says 9.4. And Tony Joe says Jeffrey Simmons never went to the combine. So maybe it was not a smart play for him to go. Maybe he didn't know he was going to run that slow. But I'm not going to judge him just on 1:40 time. That's ridiculous.
You can't.
Especially during this day and age where a lot of these guys didn't even get a chance to have a pro day or weren't invited to the combine. I'm going to go, this is my highest score right now today. So I'll just go ahead and break. I'm going to go 9.2. Because 9.2. Because, again, you're telling me you're fast. We're going to work with you. I know you can't. It's hard to improve how fast you are. But I got to take all that stuff in consideration. And if you can do one thing very well, NFL teams will use you. They will find a way to fit you in. So he'll definitely have to play special teams. He'll have to earn his stripes for sure. But I think you could throw him in there on key rundowns. Think of it maybe at in the red zone where you're not going to be able to use all of your speed unless you're going corner to corner. But, I mean, if he's in the middle linebacker position, I think we have help. We have Jayon Brown the one end. You could bring along on the other. We know Evans is a stud.
Sean Evans.
Yep. So I'm pretty excited. Tony Joe says 9. And City, the Dragon, says Kinsey, no question. And, we're ready to move on. So we'll move on to the next person. So we've talked about Brewer, Garrett. Here we go. Teair Tart, defensive tackle, Florida International. And this guy, oh my goodness, I did not really know a ton about him. But now I wish I did. I wish I knew more. Because one of my favorite shows, other than the cussing, because you know me, Mr. Titan, I'm not a big cuss guy, is we don't cuss on this show, and I'm very proud of that, by the way. But I want to, Last Chance U. I mean, I love football. It's a great football documentary on Netflix, and this guy would have been a part of it, I think, season 3, until he eventually got kicked off the team before the season started. Now, here's interesting things. I'm going to mention these teams, and you tell me. If they wanted to sign a guy, Mr. Titan, we'll just throw you under the bus here. So if they wanted to sign a guy, okay, just some random football player, and you don't know anything about him, let's just pretend, and I said Alabama and Ohio State wanted to sign this guy, would you say he's good, or not? Or would you still say I don't really know about him?
No, I would say I would get him just because Alabama and Ohio State just have a really good recruiting class. I mean, the guys that come out there, man, are studs.
Yeah.
Regardless.
And they offered. Yeah. They were on board.
That means something.
That means something, right? And then this whole mishap. So comment if you think you have any idea what happened to this guy. Is it just a character issue? Was he in the wrong place at the wrong time? It is interesting that, EMCC, Eastern Mississippi Community College, which is the team on Last Chance U, I think, for the first 2 or 3 seasons. But it is interesting that they kind of kept this under wraps. They didn't really give you a whole lot about it. But yeah, your buddy Butch Davis took a shot at him at Florida International, and off he went. But as soon as he got kicked off the team, Alabama was done. Ohio State was done. A lot of these other teams, I think Arkansas was done. A lot of these teams were done with him, and it took Florida International. Now, on the surface, when he signed with Florida International, he's a 4-star junior college player. But what's interesting about this, you heard the likes of could be as good as Ed Oliver, which we know he's at Buffalo, had a monster career at Houston down there in Texas. So with this guy, defensive tackle, we need a defensive tackle, man. How intriguing should we be as fans? And should we be scared of those character issues that we don't even know we have no idea about?
It's 50-50 because remember that J-Rob's not the type of general manager that deals with people with character issues. I mean, it's his way or you're out of the locker, and he usually doesn't. we usually don't deal with people with, like that give us headaches and stuff. Hence why probably Antonio Brown's not on our team, because we don't want to deal with that headache. We don't, and at the same time, um, we do need a little bit more on defense, I think, especially on the defensive line. Not saying that we don't. I mean, obviously we upgrade. We got Vic Beasley, all right? We got a couple other pieces, but it would help just to boost up that defensive line, man.
Yeah. And the thing is, and I think Sin City puts it pretty much in perspective. He says you got to be wild to get kicked out of there, because they give you that's why it's called Last Chance U. I mean, they give you every possible, you got to do some really terrible things. And then sometimes they even will bring you back. But it is quite interesting, though. He didn't do as well as I thought he would at Florida International, right? He just didn't. Look at last year, for example. He only started 8 out of 11 games for them, 5.5 sacks in his 2 years, 51 tackles. But his big thing is the tackles for loss. 17 and a half. That's pretty solid. And when I told you he didn't start in every game, and I think there is an issue with character issues, because I think that the Titans are so desperate at defensive line right now that they're willing to take a chance on this guy. But again, the whole thing, if Alabama is interested in you, Ohio State is interested in you, you got to be able to play. So maybe it was more of a coaching issue. Maybe it wasn't. But you can't teach size. Okay, 6'3", 290. 10 and a half tackles for loss just last season. Really good first step, so that's going to help you on that defensive line to get into the backfield. That's probably why he had so many tackles for loss. But the sturdy build, which basically means you're not going to be able to push this guy around. He can get low and penetrate inside. And I think it's worth a chance to roll the dice out of the 14 guys. But again, with the limited offseason, the Titans aren't going to, yes, they have virtual, whatever, but they're not having him in the building. We know J-Rob. He took Simmons. There was a lot of character issues with Simmons because that video that was out there.
That's true.
But he did his research. And if there's one guy that's going to do a lot of research on you, it's John Robinson. So I'm going to say and you guys at home can score as well, out of 10 with him, I think he's going to get a couple bonus points, because I think defensive line is one of our main concerns as the Titans. So I'm going to give him, like I said, I'm going to go 6.5. Probably would have been a 4.5, but I'll go 6.5 because he gets the 2-point bump because of the defensive line. What are you thinking, Mr. Titan?
Yeah, I was thinking about like maybe 6.6 or something like that, 6.7, something up there.
LGRW totally disagrees with us. He's going 10. He's going all 10. That's fine, man. I hope, because if we're not going to go out and bring in snacks or bring some other defensive lineman in, Clowney, whatever, then I hope we are able, one of these guys can be the real deal. There's got to be a lot of excitement, having this guy come in the building. But again, there was a lot of excitement down at Florida International, and it just didn't really live up to that. When you don't start all 11 games, maybe he was hurt. His highlight game was 8 tackles versus Marshall. So we know Marshall with our 7th round pick. But, at the end of the day, J-Rob's rolling the dice, so we'll have to see. So we have Dustin goes 5.5. The GOAT says 7. Jared Wood says 6.5. Al's going 6. And Tackling Life Daily says 5. So,
all right, we're all almost there.
Yeah,
all in the same range.
We're kind of in the same range. So our next person, okay, this guy is, a lot of Titan fans say this is the guy that's going to present the most challenges to wide receivers that were undrafted making the roster, and maybe guys that are on the roster. We talked about Baby Davis, how he stepped up big last year for the Titans, never returned a punt in his life for the NFL. We throw him out there in one of the biggest games, and he did well. He really did well. He stepped up very well. We've talked about Cam Batson. The team loves Cam Batson. He's probably slotted in right now at a 4 or 5. And then Khalif Raymond had a monster year. And I got to give Khalif Raymond some love here, because when we did have Mason on the show, that's the one interesting that I found super interesting about Mason, is he said that Khalif Raymond reached out to him already. So that kind of shows you the character of that wide receiver group. We talked a lot about that in that interview. I think a lot of those guys are willing to help out. I saw some photos of Mason Kinsey working out multiple times with Titan guys. Not only, Logan Woodside, but also A.J. Brown was in the last one he was working out with. Ferkser's been involved in that. So really cool to see those guys trying to do what they can during these difficult times that we're kind of living in at this moment in time. But a lot of the fans are super, super excited either for Mason Kinsey on one end or Christian Wilkerson on the other. So again, what happened with him was he was able to get his pro day in. So that was a very positive thing where a lot of these guys didn't get their pro day in at all because of everything that took place. He got his in. And I'm going to bring up one game in particular because it's one game that goes down in the ages and it kind of put up Madden stats. Eastern Kentucky this past season, 10 catches, 254 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, that is statistically, man, that's good.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? That's good. Now, the game before, he put up 9 receptions for over 100 yards. So it's not like he came in. I think his first game in 2019 was his other monster game against Southern Illinois. He put up massive stats in that game as well. I think he went for, I wrote it down somewhere, but it was like 146 yards and a touchdown in his debut of his last season. As soon as he stepped on the scene down there in Missouri, he became the number 1 best receiving, even as a freshman. He was the guy. So there's a lot of excitement about him amongst Titan fans. He holds the record, as we know, 3,500 yards, 33 touchdowns. I mean, this guy seems to be able to do it all. 16, he averages 16 yards per catch. He around 75 yards per game in his career. So, but again, where he made up a lot of his excitement, I think, was with his 40 time as well with 4.46. But that's him. He's got a little bit of size to him, 6'1", 214. So what are you thinking about him? Did you to be fair, when you talk about a lot of these guys before, you probably heard of all the guys now if you're watching at home by now. But, when we pick up some of these guys and the name, Christian Wilkerson comes on, I mean, is this something that you've heard of? Did you ever hear about these games? Because I'll be honest, man, I didn't hear about any of them. Even the 254, no. I didn't really hear much about them.
Not really. Absolutely not. But, I mean, again, J-Rob likes his size, and he likes the way he uses his weight on the routes, man. He's solid.
Yeah.
I mean, we're at that point where I think we do need another receiver, especially just going into the season. This just, again, I would like kind of like almost like a security blanket. Again, we have a couple of wide receivers, obviously, but I like Wilkerson a lot.
Yeah. Sin City Titan makes a great point. He says he can play outside. And, again, some of us in the house, it's not me, okay? It's definitely not me because I'm the biggest fan there is of all of them, all the Titans. It's Corey Davis, okay? That's my guy, Corey Davis, okay? You can have, Ryan Tannehill, you can have Derrick Henry, you can have, I don't care, Evans, Byard, whatever. Just Corey Davis, my guy, right? And I think Corey Davis is going to go off this year. I do. I think he is going to be in the spotlight, and I think you're going to know a lot about Corey Davis by the midway point. And I think he's going to be right there with A.J. Brown, okay? But when you look at it, if he gets traded, like so many of you want him traded, or he gets hurt, we don't really have anybody else on the roster that can step right in there and play outside. You know what I mean? So at least this guy can come in and do that. And he does still have pretty good speed. And we know he can catch the ball. We know he can put up stats. So it might not be a bad thing for the Tennessee Titans. But I like how you brought up, Mr. Titan, the weight. Because that's one thing that John Robinson loves about this guy. Yeah. How he's able to maneuver his weight in his routes. And, he likes his size. So we'll have to see with this one. Comic God in the house. What's going on, man? So what are we thinking for Wilkerson? What do you guys got? We'll start with Mr. Titan. We'll throw him under the bus right away, man.
All right, guys,
43
comment
likes,
before,
by the way. Sorry, man.
there we go. Let's keep them going. Yeah, that's fine. I'd give him a 6.5.
6.5, huh?
Yes, sir.
So what do
Let's see what everyone else is.
Mrs. Kinsey says he's a great blocker as well. Why do you think 6.5, man? Honestly, I thought you'd be a little higher. You really excited about?
Higher?
Yeah, because you really liked. I'm like, what's causing it not to go more towards like an 8, 9 for you? Just like what is it that's kind of, because that's intriguing to me. That's the teacher in me. What is it, man? Come on.
Definitely, I see that. Again, I think John Robinson's already set with his wide receivers. To be honest with you, I think he's good. And I think this guy's just, again, he's a good player. I like him a lot. I would like to see him, on the roster. But I think John Robinson already has his wide receiver core kind of, set. That's just, in my opinion, I think
so.
That's what it is.
If your option for the Titans is to keep one of these guys. Now, I think they keep 6 because I think one of these guys is going to be returning punts, returning kicks, with Humphreys, okay? Because Jennings is not back. So I think they keep 6. Now, if it comes down to 6, are you keeping Cam Batson, or are you willing to give one of these guys a chance? Whether it be Kinsey, you don't even have to answer who, Kinsey, Wilkerson, or a guy we're going to get to next week from Arizona State.
Well, say that one more time. Sorry about that. Say that one more time.
If I can remember, I will. Thanks again for being here, by the way. And we will get to your number you got here on Christian. So if we're keeping 6, the Titans are like, okay, we feel comfortable with 6, and there's one spot open, and here are the candidates: Cam Batson or any of these undrafted free agents that we signed. Okay, Kinsey, Wilkerson, and the one guy that I think from Arizona State. You don't even have to tell me who. It could just be undrafted guy or Cam Batson. But you got to tell me why, so that will be a little interesting here. Oh, I forgot. We'll get to this guy too, Westbrook from Indiana, because that's Brian's pick. Brian loves Westbrook.
Okay. I think it's gonna be unfortunately, man, it might be Cam Batson, because again, that's Robinson. John Robinson loves that guy. There's some about that guy that John Robinson loves. And again, like I said, I think he just has his receiving core already set up.
Yeah, Kyle Williams was the guy I was thinking of, by the way. I think probably one of you mentioned that. Okay. Dustin 8.2, the GOAT 6.6, and Jared says 6.8, Tony Joe 7.5, Music City guy says 7, Al 7. Sin City agrees with you, by the way.
Thank you, Sin City.
Let's see. Did I miss anybody? I don't think I missed anybody. I'm going to say, oh, man. I think he presents a nice option for an outside receiver. And personally, I mean, I love Cam Batson as a person, but I just don't think I'm like sold on him right now. I think Khalif Raymond will make the team. Obviously, Humphreys, Davis, and Brown make the team. So there's 4. So I think you really have 2 options out there. And I honestly think the Titans will keep Cam Batson. I'll just go ahead and say it with you. I'm not disagreeing with Cam Batson. He's okay in my opinion. He's all right. He's nothing great, but apparently, Mike Rabel and John, that's J-Rob's guy. Yeah, they like him.
That's why I went with that.
So that leaves us with one spot, and it's going to come from one of these guys unless they make a trade or someone gets cut from another team. Thing I'm scared about, though, is that what's going to happen is that 90-man roster is going to get cut down to 80, and then you lose 10 guys. Well, now we're on high alert, code red for these guys, because now, and the sad part is, like I said, they're not going to have the film option because of the preseason games. So I really hope I really do hope that these guys get an opportunity to show up at camp, because I feel like going over these guys, there's a lot of guys that could really show up and make a big impact for the Titans. So I know I'm stalling a little bit here. I'm going to say 7.1. and it's just because there is a real need for an outside guy other than Corey Davis and A.J. Brown. So he's going to get a little bit of a bump there. And then, I mean, you can't look past some of his stats in college. I know some people say, well, he didn't play Alabama or he didn't play, Ohio State and some of these teams. But at the end of the day, we know Kevin Byard didn't play these guys either. And he still is an all-pro, right?
A stud.
Yeah, a stud. So I think Tannehill can make these guys even better than what they are coming in. So I'll go 7.1. It's gonna be interesting. I think there's an actual possibility we keep 2 wide receivers that were undrafted, but definitely we're gonna keep 1. It's just who is it going to be? So moving on. We gotta get going because we're almost out of time and we got a lot of people to cover. That's why we weren't gonna go over all 14. It just was impossible. So we covered Brewer, Garrett, Tart, Wilkerson. So we got 3 left. Is that correct? I think we have 3 left, right? Hudson. We have Hudson, Thomas, and Kemp. Well, let's start with Hudson because honestly, Hudson's probably one of the guys where you're going to have to talk me into. I have Hudson at a 2. And the only reason I have him at a 2 is there's too many tight ends that Pruitt are already like this guy, right? Pruitt, Jonnu Smith can do both. I know you love blocking tight ends. Jonnu Smith can do a little bit of both. Ferkser is definitely not a blocking tight end at all. And then Pruitt's going to be the 3. So in the Titan system, blocking's very important. This guy's 6'5", Mr. Titan, 255. He is an impact blocker, okay? He's played at Arizona State. He's played under Herm. He has the size. This is what I don't like about him, okay? In his career, 23 receptions for 166, 0 touchdowns. Mr. Titan, man, if you're 6'5", and you're not getting targets in the red zone and a pro-style offense with Herm Edwards, and again, 27 yards. No. Yeah, 27 yards the first season he played, 66 the second, 73. So, I mean, he jumped 27.
He improved a little bit.
But you're giving me 73 yards in a season?
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't ask him to do much. But I think in this system, you said versatility earlier. He does have a little bit of an upside, but I just can't look past. I mean, he was 18th rated ESPN rookie coming out of, or I shouldn't say rookie, but coming into college out of high school. So, I mean, there are a lot of people that thought he was going to be really, really good. Maybe it's coaching. Maybe they just didn't ask him to do a whole lot. But, man, you're 6'5". If you could
need to be getting more touches than that, man.
Yeah. Titans Torch said they're just too good. Sin City Titan says Arizona State was good last season too. Yeah, I just don't know. I just don't think they're going to take this guy over Pruitt. Maybe this is a practice squad guy. Would you keep him on the practice squad and just try to
work with him? I mean, again, that height, like you said, that kind of sticks out, man. 6'5", you can't teach height, especially for a tight end. And but again, I think we're set on tight ends.
Yep.
But I agree with you on the whole practice squad, just in case. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. Some of these guys are hidden talents. They don't get the opportunity to shine. We know he did in high school. Something happened in college. I mean, he still finished. Big guy. You can play him outside. You can play him inside. Great blocker. But at the end of the day, you're trying to make a team that's good. Trying to make a playoff team who just was 1 win away from the Super Bowl. You're going to have to do more than just block, right, at that position. So what do we got in the house? What do you got, Mr. Titan?
I give him a 5.
5, okay. How about you guys in the house? What are we thinking? Out of 10. We're at 8 dislikes. Man.
Woo! Bring him on.
Man. Bring him on. All right. What are we thinking?
It was bound to happen.
An inside joke there for sure. So, what are we thinking? Did we just stop working? I don't know. Maybe my thing stalled because I'm not getting any more comments. There we go. The GOAT says 4.
Yeah.
Dustin says we do like using big guys in the red zone. Yeah, there is definitely a need. They're at 50. We're at 50. Yes. Sin City Titan says 3.
2.
Yeah, L Pierces reminds me of another Stevenson. Who was the tight end? Craig
Stevenson?
Is it Craig Stevenson? Yeah. So that's who he's.
Yeah.
Craig was an ultimate blocker, but he could put up a few catches now and then. Dustin says 2. Chester Taylor, what's going on? He says 3. Dislikes still help your algorithm. It shows interaction. Awesome. Let's go more dislikes.
And it says 8 odd. It's not odd. It's
Oh no, it's not odd. We saw this coming before it even went on tonight, but that's okay. Craig Stevens, yes, LGRW, good one. Tackling Life Daily says 5 teams will have to keep more players than usual death player. Oh, that's a great point. I didn't think about that. And the NFL should be more proactive when it comes to this, as well as getting us more details on this, but making the case that, you know what, a lot of these teams might have to have an expanded roster because you just don't know if they proceed with the season, which I think a lot of us are still skeptical. You got to have more players to pull from. So I heard practice squads might go up a little bit more. So that might actually help out these guys. But the only problem I have is when other teams start making cuts, the veterans, the guys who've been in the league, have tape. These guys don't have tape, and that's going to be very hard for them if they don't make the Titans team to get picked up by another team. So, gotcha. All right, so let's move on before we get like 50 dislikes. Okay, so our next guy, Kearse. Oh my goodness, can you imagine having another Kearse on the Titans? Linebacker from Arizona State. There's a reason why the Titans go after Arizona State guys. Because they run the pro style with Herm Edwards. That there's a reason why a lot of these guys are going to get more of an opportunity, especially when you don't have a lot of camp time and with everything going on. But this guy is interesting. Now, we'll just get the negatives out right away, okay? The big knock on this guy before you get too excited at home is he literally cannot tackle. He cannot tackle. And when you're a linebacker and you can't tackle, that is a problem. Okay, so yes, he can run, he can play coverage, okay, he can pressure, he can provide a lot of, let's be honest, the motor, he can get after you, but he just, for whatever reason, has an issue trying to tackle. So I think that's ultimately going to be an issue. Now, your team played him in the Sun Bowl. So you want to tell us who your team is?
Florida State, the screen pass. I remember. Screen pass, man.
Yes. So at the end of the game, man, they're up what? They're up. I forget what the score was, but they were winning. It's a close game, playing Florida State. And all of a sudden, Florida State runs some sort of screen pass. This guy comes out of nowhere, intercepts it. He had a huge 3rd and 1 for a loss in that game. There's a lot of teams that were looking at, Senior Bowl opportunities and postseason bowls. This guy in the Sun Bowl, that was his tape. That was his glory. That was his fame.
That was his thing.
And that put him on the map. That really did, where the Titans were intrigued. The Titans were in talks with this guy throughout the process. So I don't know any of the other undrafted free agents, what they were going through with John Robinson, but this guy, was in talks with the Titans. They were thinking about drafting him. They wanted to know that, this guy was on their radar. They really loved this guy. And you got to figure Herm Edwards put in a good word for him as well. And the Titans don't draft him. It's interesting. They went a different route, but yet they were able to get him and basically with signing him after the draft. So
I remember that play. It's bad memories. Bad memories upload.
Yeah, sorry to bring that up, man. So my question well, not really a question, but if you think about it, with help from Vrabel, this is Vrabel's bread and butter, linebackers, man. And This is a typical Titans linebacker. Speed guys, can cover, can get after it. You just got to be able to tackle in this league, and that's going to be the ultimate issue with him going forward. Again, 4-star recruit coming out of high school, 9th best middle linebacker according to Scout. And, he goes to Arizona State, and like I said, 108 total tackles, 7.5 sacks. But I'm telling you, if you want to go watch anything on him, just skip everything, go watch the Sun Bowl, because that should get you very excited as a Titans fan, because that guy played out of his mind, and it definitely put him in the conversation
on the map
for sure. And yeah, put him on the map. So we'll move on. What are you giving him for a score to keep it consistent?
0. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I give him. He's more of a project. He could be easily a practice squad. Especially getting that tackling down. So I'm gonna give him my lowest probably score of the night is 3.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I thought you weren't going under 5, man.
maybe I'm a little salty. Maybe that's what it probably is. You kind of brought up some bad memories, but whatever.
Yeah.
What about you?
I think he fits a role for the team because he's a style that we know they like. The problem is they already have guys on the roster that are like him. So the big thing with him is special teams. But if you're playing in punt coverage and you're playing in kick return coverage and you miss,
you can't tackle,
and you miss a key tackle, that could be the difference between a 5-yard return and a 75-yard touchdown. And I think ultimately this guy seems like another practice squad guy, that if you can get him on the practice squad, let Vrabel work with them for a few years, maybe he can be a solid guy that comes in the system in year 3, year 4. But like I said, I would probably go like 3.5.
All right. I like
it. I think I'm intrigued by the guy, but I just feel like there's too many guys like him already. But again, the Titans this is just something to keep an eye on, you guys watching at home. Titans are very, very heavily interested in this guy. Okay. From what you gather, what you hear, it seems like the Titans, in his interviews, they've been in constant talks throughout the draft process. So that that caught the Titans' eye in some way, in some form. But where that fits, I'm thinking practice squad for sure. All right, we got one guy left. And I'll be honest, I felt bad because I'd never heard of the college before. It's in Georgia. So it's probably not, maybe it's far from Berry College. I'm not sure. But was it Valdosta State? I probably can't even pronounce that correct. But this guy coming in, like I said, Brandon Kemp, offensive tackle. The issue, I think, where it set him back was he had 3 different coaches in 4 years. Now, his last year, he was on an undefeated national championship team, and he was a very vital piece, and I think that kind of propelled him to be even, picked up and signed. But again, you're looking at 6'7", Mr. Titan, 310 pounds. Sounds like Isaiah Wilson.
And again, I didn't agree with Brian's pick, but again, this guy's been on point. I can't go against Brian. I just can't, regardless of how his picks are. I'm like, when he said about Isaiah Wilson, I'm like, no, they're not gonna get it. And then that when we went on, I was like, I can't believe it was Isaiah Wilson. Brian is always on. So you know what, 6'7". You got to have some intrigue. Come on, that's a monster right there.
Yeah,
that's a beast.
Now, to be fair, in 2017 he had shoulder surgery, so that definitely set back his college career. But like I said, start 11 games as a junior, only 5 his second year. First season ended up starting all the games, so that's quite interesting. How that all progressed, because again, you're talking a national championship team, so they're good. They're bringing in a lot of these guys to play Division II. Was an All-American second team in Division II. So on the surface, yes, competition. You'll hear that a lot of times, who you're playing. But I think when you get to the pro level, you can throw all that out the window. It's, what do you do for me lately? Can you play in the spotlight? Can you play against these other teams on the roster? And let's be honest, the Titans, At offensive tackle, I mean, you got Lawan, you got Isaiah Wilson is a rookie, also from Georgia. So I wonder if these guys hang out. And then you have, Dennis Kelly. So, he's not going to have the versatility like we mentioned with Aaron earlier.
Yep.
So that's probably going to hurt him a little bit in the long run.
Yep.
I think it's another developmental guy. You seeing a theme here?
Yep. Practice squad. Yep. Practice squad. Maybe see you in year 3 or something.
So I'm gonna go with a 3. Just because I think Aaron. We mentioned Aaron Brewer earlier. I think he checks more of the boxes. So I think, and I can't see them keeping, any more linemen after Brewer. So Tony Joe says not needed.
Yeah, I say 3.5. Nothing. I was below 5. I don't think we need him.
So this is interesting. So Titans Torch said Brandon Kemp was DMing him on Instagram when he posted stuff about the undrafted free agents, about getting their numbers. Said he was telling me we all knew the numbers before he was even notified. Oh, that's just terrible.
That's awesome.
That's terrible, man. So, but that's cool, Titans Torch, that he reached out to you. That's awesome. I like you mentioned, you have guys reaching out to you. I was just, it was like, well, Mason Kinsey, he's got a really cool story. And the thing with Mason was I just wanted people to know his story. Because he's not the traditional guy that, the guy coming out of Alabama that everyone's heard of. He had to do it the hard way. And he had to, basically do it from the ground up. He mentioned in the mud. That was their saying down there in Georgia, they get whatever in the mud. But the thing with him was with the speed and he was definitely the guy down there at Berry College. But when you just look at it in general, I was just thrilled that he was willing to come on the channel. So when these guys give, feedback, they talk to you guys. I mean, that's awesome, Titans Torch. Tackling Life Daily says it's way down near Florida line, not near Rome. Okay, so I don't know. Like Georgia's not like Illinois, but if it was, I mean, Illinois is like what? We're like 5 hours from Southern Illinois, but we can go 2 hours to Wisconsin. So there's like 7 hours the length there. Georgia's probably not as wide, but it's probably still a pretty good distance, correct? Trying to think of my geography skills here. I should know more about my geography. But thank you for the feedback there. Titans Torch said, he said to me, how do you know these are official? I was like, it's on the Titans website. Oh, no. Oh, no. So that's good. I mean, that's just communication, right? You got to get that fixed. So if you're telling me that's true, maybe I should lower my score to a 2. Because that means, I don't know. Maybe it's just miscommunication. It's hard. The GOAT says 2. Jared Wood says 4. Tony just said he's not needed. Jared Wood says he's in Mariota's situation for sure. Solomon's in the house. What's going on, Solomon? LGRW says if he can cover, I'll take him over the 4.92 guy. Wow, that's interesting. Tackling Life Davey 5, the GOAT 5. I think these are from the guy I just mentioned, the curse guy from Arizona State. So we've hit it. We're done. We got to the end.
We're done, man.
We only had 11 dislikes. So there's room for improvement.
That's not too bad.
There's room for improvement next time, right? So we'll cover the remaining 7 guys next week. We'll do it just kind of like we do today. We'll keep the scores and we'll go through that and we'll see how many of these guys do we think are going to make the Tennessee Titans team. But now Mrs. Kinsey brought up a great point, like with the whole situation of the sickness and all that, how many extra guys are each team going to get to keep? And that would definitely help out a lot of these guys. Unfortunately, I hope the preseason still happens because I think at least 2 games gives these guys a little bit of experience, but it gets them some tape. And I'm sure the coaches are going to be very good about sharing some tape with other coaches because these are good guys. So when you're talking about guys that are busting their butt to make the team and they don't, worst thing you want is for a coach just to throw your practice or don't share your stuff. I think coaches understand that players come first a lot of the times, and they will be willing to do whatever they can for the players to give them the networking to get them a job somewhere else. But, man, game tape speaks volumes. So any last comments, Mr. Titan?
No, man. Thank you again for having me on. Had a great time. Hopefully, Titan Nation. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed it as well. And just kind of be on the lookout for that video tomorrow that's going to be dropping with the UFC Hall of Famer. And I appreciate doing this with you. We have a blast all the time, man.
Yeah, I love having you on, and I'm excited to be able to do a lot of work with you in the upcoming season. The live games is going to be phenomenal. I'm really looking forward to that as well. So we look at the 5th down. I finally can tell you what that's more about. That's going to debut in the middle of July. It's only on Twitch, unfortunately, for this time, but we are going to do camp battles. So here's the idea behind this. So we're going to pick out 2-3 guys, and we're going to put them up against each other. It's going to be interactive. You're going to be a part of this. And we as a community are going to come up with who's going to win these spots. Now, we have right tackle. I think that's going to be one probably up for grabs. I don't think it's going to be up for grabs right away, and especially with the offseason. But there are some other spots that, maybe it's we did it a little bit today. You only get to keep one. So here are your 3 guys. So we'll make arguments. Some guests on, they'll make arguments. Maybe we'll see Mr. Titan on there. Maybe we'll have a couple guys. Maybe we'll bring Tennessee Titans Weekly in. Maybe we'll bring in Titans and Truth. And we'll get into these. Maybe we'll bring the Coach Plays back here. And we'll talk about, and give everything we know. And which guy is going to fit the best in the system for the Titans. And then where you guys come in, you will get to leave comments. And you will be a part of the discussion. And we will take your feedback, and maybe we can get some polls going and then just kind of go from there. But it'll be a lot of fun. That's going to be on the 5th down, and I'm really excited about that. So if you haven't followed Twitch, I think the link is in the profile. Definitely check that one out. The clothing line, you mentioned, and make sure if you're just joining us, Mr. Titan, we're going to buy a mask off Mr. Titan. He is going to basically send that to me. And I'm going to pick a winner from the show tonight. All you have to do is leave a comment under this episode, okay? And let's get you on the screen, man. So there's the mask. And then make sure you are subscribed to Mr. Titan. You notice I didn't even say myself. I just said Mr. Titan. It shows you my character and the kind of guy I am. But
you're just a nice guy.
I'm trying to be a nice guy. And then that mask is yours. We will pick one winner, okay? So I did want to throw that out to you. And then also, I'll be giving away a few shirts here in the near future. Telling you, Twitch is going to be one, and then we'll give one away for those of you guys that are consistently watching on YouTube. But this team store is going. It's working. A couple of you have ordered already, so shout out to you guys. Tim, the Titans fan, I know you did. Big O Titan, another shout out to you. So thank you so much for those of you that have purchased the shirt and are representing Titan Upload. And then I want to play this one more time because this is coming. This is coming soon, and I want you guys to be a part of it.
I'm Titan Upload, and you're watching Fan to Fan Network, the voice that fans deserve. Tighten up.
So that's going to be debuting. I think next week the website goes live. It's supposed to be on the 4th. Ran into some technical issues. I think next weekend that thing's going to be official. So any last comment before we go, man?
No, man. Just hope you guys have a good night. Stay safe and always tighten up.
I like it, man. You never go wrong with just saying tighten up, right? We're going to cover the final 7 undrafted free agents. Can't wait. Let's go and tighten up. See you guys soon. And be safe out there.